Tonight on our new CENTER Maine Christmas Special, a look back at some of our favorite stories of the year.
I mean, he's a little sassy to me, I'm not gonna lie. He's a little judgmental.
From Maine pets doing big things.
My money don't jiggle, jiggle, it folds.
To humans coming together to make a difference.
He is truly my hero.
We know each other's strengths, and we appreciate everyone for who they are and what they bring to our lives.
Plus, a look back at some big accomplishments.
100-year-old vessel takes a lot of work.
And of course, there was a lot of fun along the way.
I promise we're good at our day jobs.
Let's go.
It's time.
Our Christmas special begins now.
Everyone, thanks so much for joining us for our new CENTER Maine Christmas Special. I'm Amanda Hill.
And I'm Brian Yacono. Tonight, we are taking a look back at some of our favorite stories from the year. Stories about you, the people of Maine, and our communities. Some that put smiles on our faces and make us laugh. Others that make us just say, wow.
Of course, we have stories about pets because it's not always people doing amazing things.
That is not the case for our first story tonight. We begin with a story from a Maine institution, one that stirs up childhood memories for most of us. We're talking about Funtown Splashtown USA in Saco and the woman who owns it.
It's been open for more than 6 decades and is now preparing for its 64th season in 2023. Samantha York introduces us to the woman who not only started the park, she keeps it running every year.
If the slides, rides, and atmosphere at Funtown Splashtown USA don't catch your attention, Violet Cormier will.
Hi, guys.
She's a fan favorite, and once you start talking with her,
celebrate his birthday. Oh, happy birthday! I bet you're what? 10, 12, 11. I was in the middle.
It's not too hard to figure out why.
You should have the best day ever.
Most days you can find her right here at the main gate greeting guests, strolling through the park.
Beautiful day.
I love it.
Or even visiting her favorite bar.
I love to watch all the people everywhere.
Coming to work is something she has looked forward to since she and her late husband, Ken Cormier, first purchased the land the park sits on back in 1952.
My wonderful mom, who I was very close to, miss her, said to me, if I put $100,000 in your hands, can you start a business? And I looked at her and I said, you gotta be kidding.
Violet was just 24 years old.
We decided to buy land from Sweets of Home and open Marvell Drive-In.
And what was that?
Food and ice cream. We figured they'll play mini golf and then they'll be hungry and they'll cross over to buy a snack. Before Burger King, McDonald's, there was not that many outdoor takeout.
Yeah.
So we were one of the few. And this part of the area was a dead zone. And then we decided to do a bat-away cages.
The Cormiers were always thinking about ways to expand, and they did. And by 1960, the pair had decided they were going to open an amusement park. The rest is history.
It was never a blueprint of we're going to build a park. That was farthest thing from our mind. Actually, we didn't know what we were doing. We didn't even know what we were starting. It just evolved in time. And it's like a puzzle. After a few years, we'll do this, we'll do that. We kept adding things, and this is what it is. It's not Disney, by no means, but it's my baby Disney.
Funtown Splashtown USA has grown into one of Maine and New England's largest amusement parks. Violet calls it a labor of love, but it's also something else, a family affair.
Look at my grandson painted that sign.
He did that?
Yes, my grandson Chaz.
Every single one of Violet's children works at the park, and so do her grandchildren.
And as soon as my great-grandson starts high school, he's got a job already. Wanting it or not, you're going to work. The same thing I did with my kids. They had to work because we spent our time building it up. Building it up mean we couldn't be on the golf course or on the beach. We had to be here.
Yeah.
And we don't mind being here. We kind of love being here because we're proud of what we've done over all these years.
Over the years, Violet has stopped and thought about her time at the park and whether or not the life she and her husband built was worth it. That was until a few years ago when Violet met a young boy while she was working at the main gate.
So I grabbed his little arm to put a bracelet on, and I noticed all his fingers were stuck in dirt. They were tight together, and I thought to myself, you know, it's good that he comes to the park. This will be good for this little kid who knows what his life is like. Yeah. His sneakers were all worn. You could tell he was not in a good place. And then suddenly, he looked up at me and he said, "This is gonna be the best day of my life." And I said, "God, I belong here. This is where I belong." All these doubts and thoughts in my head, this young kid, had the answer. This 7-year-old, put me in my place. It's amazing.
It's those little moments that keep Violet and her family working hard and looking toward the future.
I have friends go boating. I have friends with summer camps, and they enjoy the summer. The season is very short. And we choose to do this. Why? Because we love it. It's a labor of love. To see hundreds of, sometimes we have 3,000, 4,000, 5,000 people in the park in a day, and they're smiling and they're having fun. That's the rewarding part of why we're here.
That was Samantha York with that story. Now, Violet also told Sam back in the summer when they first put this story together that there is another expansion coming in 2023, although she didn't give many more details than that. As the old saying goes, the best is yet to come. This next story had a lot of you talking. It's about a family in Union, and one of their pets was lost for almost a year.
However, that pet is the family's rooster. His name is Dave. News Center Maine's Alex Haskell shares the story of how he was found safe.
We searched everywhere and we asked all our neighbors and nobody saw him. So I just figured, well, he must have gotten eaten by a chicken hawk.
To Dickerson's surprise, Dave, the rooster, is very much alive.
I was jogging with my puppy.
That's when Dickerson's neighbor, Carrie Kazor, heard a familiar caw coming from the woods.
Dave came running out.
But something was different about Dave.
This time he looked a little disheveled. He looked a little fribbled, and his feathers weren't as fancy as they usually are.
A long adventure away from home will do that to a guy or a rooster.
He had a toe missing, his feet were frozen.
Dickerson got Dave warmed up and reunited with her son. The two share a special bond.
I gave him a little pen, we said hi, and we had a little visit.
With Dave now home, everyone has a lot of questions for him.
I honestly cannot tell you what happened.
If anyone knows a chicken whisperer or how to communicate with chickens, I really am so curious as to what Dave's been up to.
Questions aside, the neighborhood is just happy to have its rooster back.
He's got the most glorious crow of any rooster I've ever heard, and just an incredible set of feathers, and he just kind of walks around and talks to everybody.
What a journey Dave must have been on. Now, I did ask Dickerson if she's sure this rooster is in fact Dave. She says it's the same as knowing that your child is your child. Alex Haskell, News Center, Maine.
He had a rough go in the woods there. Glad he's back. All right. Well, everyone deserves to be celebrated, especially on their birthday, and leave it to Maine to have a town with people making sure everyone is celebrated.
Sullivan is home to about 1,200 people. News Center Maine's Sam Olson and photojournalist Sebastian Benage share the effort that goes into making sure no one celebrates another year alone.
So I have 12-1. Anybody interested in the beginning of the month?
Sure.
These are all birthday cards in here.
Cards celebrating another year around the sun. Twice a month, this Sullivan Circle of Friends makes it its mission to handwrite cards to people in town for upcoming birthdays.
We usually write
a little message inside. And if we know the people, sometime we can say a little something that will make them smile or laugh.
One of the organizers, Candy Eaton, began this birthday card project because she thinks there's nothing quite like getting a signed, sealed, delivered letter in the mail.
Ooh, I like that one.
Well, the thing is, you get to match them up to the people if you know who they are.
Right, that's why I like the different cards.
Yeah. This way, all of a sudden, somebody out of the blue sends you a birthday card, and it's like, wow, somebody cares about me.
And that's a feeling she hopes every adult in Sullivan gets on their birthday, thanks to the town's treasurer, who has every registered voter's birthday on file.
I get a lot of comments in the office from people coming in saying, we don't know who sent it, but it made our day extra special.
Writing birthday cards may be a small and simple thing, but to some in town, it may be the only birthday wish they get.
I think when I write the cards, there are some people who may not have anybody else.
And as a simple reminder that someone is thinking of you on your birthday, a card signed by Sullivan Circle of Friends will do the trick. How long do you hope this goes on for?
Forever.
The group buys cards and takes donations. If you're interested in donating to the Circle of Friends, you can learn more on our website. Sam Olson, News Center, Maine.
Birthday celebrations aren't over. We'll meet a World War II veteran marking 103 years.
And good storytelling is what you know and love here at News Center Maine. Telling your stories also landed us a prestigious national award, our Christmas Special. We'll be right back. Every year, Maine goes all out on Veterans Day, honoring the men and women who have served our country, and it was no different this year.
Back in November, News Center Maine's David Guildford and photojournalist Sebastian Bennett were in Bangor, meeting people at the city's annual parade. What they found was someone worth their own celebration away from the commotion.
For most Americans, Veterans Day is a time for public thanks.
All right.
Bangor came out Friday to pay respect to those who sacrificed.
I was in the Air Force and I got out on disability, but I'm proud to be with these guys.
And those in the next generation willing to serve.
She wore it for her soldier who was far, far away.
Across town, one special Mainer couldn't make the parade, but thanks are still very much in order.
God bless you.
Roy Ward served in the Navy in World War II.
We have a quilt for you.
Oh boy, look at that.
That will keep you warm with love and honor.
Nice?
But while it's crucial to recognize this generation whose numbers are dwindling, celebration was also necessary on this Veterans Day.
Happy birthday. Thank you.
It was Roy's birthday, his 103rd. Roy was born on 11/11/1919.
When you got back from the war, when you got back, what did you do for work?
I worked as an auto mechanic.
Every year, Lori Seidlinger visits Roy on his birthday, even during COVID when they could only wave through a window. Lori helps to run Honor Flight Maine, raising money to bring hundreds of vets to Washington, D.C. But Roy was the first vet she ever watched over on a trip.
He is truly my hero.
While she travels the state helping vets throughout the year, Veterans Day will always be Roy's day for her.
God, I love you. That's it. You're coming home with me. Here we go.
And Roy couldn't ask for more.
What do I want for my birthday?
Yes, sir.
Just my friends around me. Yeah.
That's all you need?
Yep.
Wish granted.
Yep.
David Guildford and photojournalist Sebastian Bennett with that story. Any veteran can join Honor Flight, but there is certainly a push to bring World War II vets on these trips, not only for the gravity of what many of them went through, but also because they are rapidly leaving us. You can learn more about the program on our News Center Maine website and app. This year, our photojournalist Kirk Craddy got national recognition.
This is a big one. For those who don't work in the industry, a National Edward R. Murrow Award, it's one of the most prestigious out there. Kirk won that award for excellence in video for a story he did with Rob Caldwell about the schooner Bowden.
It's the official vessel of the state of Maine, and you might think it would reside in a museum, unused and largely forgotten. But that is not the case at all. Rob and Kirk take us back to beautiful summer weather in Maine.
Let's start with a wide shot to take in the beauty of Castine and Penobscot Bay. There could scarcely be a better location for Maine Maritime Academy, a school whose mission includes preparing young people to operate the ships found on every ocean on Earth. A fixture on the Castine waterfront is the schooner Bowdoin, Maine's official state vessel and a floating classroom for Maine Maritime Academy students.
Get some sails up, stand by to get underway.
In an age when commercial ships are outfitted with navigation and communications equipment so advanced that captains and crews don't even have to look outside most of the time, it's reasonable to ask, what do maritime students learn on this boat that's really useful?
100-year-old vessel takes a lot of work, so they're learning the skills to maintain a vessel. They're learning the importance of caring for your vessel. They're learning the attention to detail that it takes to keep this vessel looking great even after 100 years.
So Bailey, leave that one in place. That one we'll leave until the very last. We'll just take these two.
Chief Mate Sarah Martin says the learning here is deep because this is a classroom like no other. A whole world, 88 feet long and 20 feet wide.
We have all of our food, we have all of our fuel, we have all of our water, we have all the resources that we need. And the students have this real focus opportunity to really have a sense of ownership over everything to do with their day-to-day lives. And it is the most powerful teaching experience I've ever experienced.
A key part of the Bowdoin's mystique comes from her history. Explorer Donald McMillan designed the ship to withstand ice during Arctic expeditions. Built in East Booth Bay, she sailed more than 300,000 miles on 26 research voyages to the north. For 100 years, her current captain says, the Bowdoin has been blessed with good fortune.
Oh yeah, we call it McMillan luck, because McMillan had the best luck. Like all of the scrapes and hard times that the vessel and he's gone through, he's always come out the other end better and stronger. And I think that spirit exists with the vessel still.
There are lots of old boats out on the water doing things.
You just pull it, it'll come loose.
There are very few old boats doing the same thing they were doing 100 years ago.
This boat goes out with students in the same way that Donald McMillan went out with young people who were looking to explore the world and learn new things about what was beyond the far horizon.
Sailing on the Bowdoin offers a classical maritime education, seamanship, boat handling, celestial navigation, and more. Student Finn Jordan approves.
This is the lowest tech you could be, so these are all the basics.
Perhaps just as important as imparting knowledge, the Bowdoin builds character.
I love going aloft, climbing these ratlins. I've always loved heights, and I feel like tall ships is the place I'm meant to be.
When I was a freshman, and I was terrified of heights, and I climbed up into the icebox on one of our day sails, coming down, not really know what I was doing. They're like, yeah, go climb. And I got into the icebox, I saw everything, and I was like, this is it. This is what I want to do. I want to help, and I want to keep sailing. And I did.
The students don't take sailing on this schooner for granted. They realize it's something special.
Especially when Will sends us an email saying, hey, we need crew for the day, and it's not a normal sailing day. I basically make sure I clear my schedule and get out here.
The ship goes out regularly, and when in Maine waters at least, her reputation precedes her.
Wherever we go, people know the vessel, they come say hello, they have a story about either being on the vessel or their grandfather was on the vessel. It's really kind of special to have that warm welcome wherever we go in Maine, and everyone knows us.
When the sails are taut and the light is golden and the Bowdoin is running before the wind, it sometimes seems as if nothing has changed on this vessel in the last 100 years, and that nothing could be improved upon.
Again, that was Rob Caldwell and photojournalist Kirk Craddy. And by the way, that story also won a New England Emmy in the school education category. Well, sometimes in life, all we really need is a good friend to lean on.
And for this group of women, they wouldn't have their book club without friendship.
It's been really supportive and helpful to share our experiences because we've all been through many of the same things.
What it takes to keep a book club running for decades, coming up. One of the true meanings of friendship is having someone to rely on.
A unique bond between a young man in North Yarmouth and his special four-legged friend is the inspiration behind a new children's book. And as New Center Maine's Vivian Lee shows us, there are no limits to companionship.
Scotty Wenzel came into this world fighting the odds, diagnosed with a number of congenital heart defects that required open heart surgery.
He had his first one at 5 days old.
He underwent corrective surgeries at 6 months old and on his 18th birthday. Scotty also has Dubowitz syndrome, an extremely rare chromosomal disorder that can cause physical and developmental delays. Scotty began early intervention services and started walking for the first time in kindergarten.
We did that, OT, PT, speech, but they couldn't tell us anything about what his future would be like.
But his parents made sure it was always bright. Scotty participates in adaptive skiing, horseback riding, swimming, and surfing, just to name a few.
Nice job, pal!
Years later, Lisa picked up a life-size stuffed dog for Scotty named Spillway, and the rest is history.
Okay, let's...
Spillway.
They just do everything together, and it's just this unique friendship. Scotty really loves Spillway.
It's really interesting because some people, when they first see Spillway, think he's actually a real dog.
Yes.
So we hear that a lot, and they'll look and they go, "Oh, I thought he was real," and we say, "Well, he is real."
Scotty is now 22, and that amazing bond with his best friend is still going strong. Their unique friendship also planted a seed about sharing their amazing adventures from Spillway's perspective. Lisa collaborated with Heidi Bullen, a longtime friend, third-grade teacher, and a children's book author, on A Dog and His Boy, The Adventures of Spillway and Scotty. The rhyming book, published by McSee Books, features colorful pictures by Maine illustrator Claudia Diller. The book takes readers along Spillway's journey of life with Scotty by his side.
This is a story about a dog and a boy, and although I am stuffed, I'm not just a toy. My name is Spillway. I stay by my boy's side. Wherever he goes, I will happily guide. My boy's name is Scotty. We'll never part ways. It'll be me and Scotty for all of our days.
These are real adventures that he goes on every day. And, Scott and Lisa have provided this life for him of doing so many incredible, wonderful things and experiences, and for children to see that.
That was Vivian Lee reporting. You can pre-order A Dog and His Boy right now from McSee Books. It will be released in mid-February of next year. Well, the women in this next story, they might enjoy A Boy and His Dog. They have a very unique bond through reading.
They're part of a decades-long friendship that has grown month by month over wine and books.
On a rainy day in Lebanon, Prospect Hill Winery is closed for a private party. Owner Anita Carl pours the wine, lays out the spread of food, and prepares to discuss the book she chose for this month's book club, something these 7 ladies have done just about every month.
We started in April of 1976.
Yep. For 46 years.
We've become such good friends, but we're not in-your-face kind of friends. We meet once a month and maybe email a little bit in between. People have moved away and they still make an effort to come back.
They've read through nearly 500 books in their time together, with a few months skipped in between, and of course, Zoom meetings through the worst of the pandemic.
The hostess for the month chooses the book,
which we're finding is quite unique for a book group. And that, to me, is what has made this book group special, because we read such a variety of books.
I know I've read books that I would have never picked up, and sometimes I thought, this is an amazing book, and other times it was like, okay, now I know why I didn't read it.
And I made them read a 600-page book on Lyme disease. God. Yeah. Was it not helpful? That was good.
Even books the group never realized would be so meaningful.
When we were first meeting, we read a book on being a widow, and none of us would suspect that. But then a few years later, I became a widow at 29.
And those are the moments in between the wine, the discussion, and the laughter that have only solidified the friendships formed through this book club.
You know, it was just a really hard time, and I remember after he died having some nights when I just was out of control, and because it was just not my thinkable future. And I remember calling Bev at 2 in the morning, and she let me come up and sleep on her couch so I wasn't alone. And
I forgot about that.
Oh, I didn't forget. Yeah. You know, it's things like that, you know, that, yeah. It was a hard time, and I wasn't prepared for it.
They helped me out at my husband's funeral. At the end of it, I kind of slipped away. Please go to my house and get things set up for afterwards. And then when I came home, everything was ready. They were all, you know, taking care of everything. That was kind of neat.
It's been really supportive and helpful to share our experiences, because we've all been through many of the same things.
Together, they've been through major moments in history, births and deaths, including the loss of one founding member of their club.
I think we have to mention Nancy. Yes, and she passed away
2
years ago.
Yeah. Next month.
It's a shame that Nancy isn't here, because she would be, first of all, she'd love it, and she would be dressed for the occasion.
Oh, she would, yes.
In 46 years, the stories have grown from page to life. The ladies have traveled together, attended talks with authors. They've shared in many glasses of wine and rowdy conversation.
Well, we know each other's strengths, and you know, we appreciate everyone for who they are and what they bring to our lives.
A bond that's become so strong, the core group has had to turn friends away who wanted to join in.
We have such a long history, and we trust each other implicitly. We've shared a lot of private things, and it was really hard to think about someone else coming in that we didn't have that history with.
And despite how well they all get along, they all have very different lives and often different opinions on the books they're reading, which they say makes the discussion even better.
Does it surprise you that this many years later, this is still going on?
It shocks me. Yeah, I never dreamed. I thought it was going to be a night out, get away from the little babies and let the husbands take over for a while, and it's become very important in all our lives.
And they are already thinking about how to celebrate their 50 years together, which, by the way, is in just a few years. Coming up, we'll introduce you to some pretty incredible kids,
including one who already has some early work experience.
I've been farming my whole life, as long as I can remember.
How he got into the farming industry and why he loves it so much. That's next.
Kids in Maine do incredible things and face incredible odds. This next story is about a girl who's making sure to give back to others who find themselves in the same scary situation she was once in.
Libby Ruhlman was diagnosed with cancer when she was just 2 years old. Years later now, working with the Maine Children's Cancer Program at Maine Medical Center in Scarborough, she's continuing a tradition that supports kids just like her. Here's News Center Maine's Hannah Yoshivi.
When Sarah, 9-year-old Libby, and her father get off from school and work, they do this. Go to 16 locations to drop off donation toy boxes for the Ouchie Box Drive.
And it's just grown every single year.
First up, Gray Bar in Portland.
You donate toys and they go to kids who have cancer and like go to chemo, stuff like that.
But let's bounce back a bit. This is why the Roman family does this.
7 years ago, Libby was diagnosed with Langerhans cell histiocytosis at the age of 2. She had a tumor on her orbital bone on her eye.
Libby received all her treatments at the Maine Children's Cancer Program at Maine Med.
In February, she will be 6 years cancer-free.
For the past 6 years, the family has found a way to give back.
They saved our daughter's life, and we know what we went through, and we want to make it as easy as possible for other parents.
Easier by keeping this box full of rewards for kids and teens at the hospital.
It gives them something to look forward to after their treatment. They can select anything they want out of there.
Her very last chemo treatment, my husband and I brought her to the box and we opened it up and it was pretty much empty. So we were like, this is not okay, not just for her, but for any kiddo.
So they took it upon themselves to keep this program going.
And then I approached my boss here at Amigos, and he was like, absolutely, let's have a box here.
Now 16 locations have boxes open for donations.
Some families don't have a lot of money because they can't do a job because their kid is going through chemo treatment. So when they get a toy, it feels great for them.
Deirdre Hogan is Libby's clinical social worker and is in charge of bringing the box to kids after their medical appointments. 15 to 18 kids come here per day.
We ask because of COVID, and this is the hard part, but kids usually do a great job with a little direction. We just ask them to look with their eyes, and what we'll do is we'll kind of show them the options, which are always changing. Usually when kids come here with their families, they have to spend a lot of time here. Sometimes they're getting lengthy infusions for chemotherapy, or they're coming in for injections, things like that. And so it's difficult to be here. And just to know that they have something waiting for them.
Sometimes there's a lot to look through, and we just wanted to make sure that was always the case.
And that has been the case for the past few years, where tons of donations have kept kids with a smile on their face.
For me, I do it for Libby, but I do it for all the kids after her.
And that was Hannah Yoshivi reporting.
Now, if you're driving through Auburn in the summer, you'll pass a few farm stands. One may look small, but the work it takes to keep it up is a big undertaking.
And how about this? The person behind growing, raising, and caring for the animals that he then eventually sells, 12 years old. News Center Maine's Jackie Mundry introduces us to Braden Netto.
He might not be able to drive a car for 4 more years, but 12-year-old Braden Netto always knew he wanted to be behind the wheel of a tractor. So 2 years ago, he started his first farm stand.
I've been farming my whole life. As long as I can remember, I was on his lap steering the tractors and running the bucket.
I turn around, I trip over him. He was right there.
Dan Herrick has always had a farm at his home, but never more than a way to feed his family. Now, Braden essentially runs the family farm himself and has grown it even in the last few years, opening a farm stand for the community.
Cabbage, scallions, and more zucchini.
He starts his vegetables from seed.
Get this itty bitty seed and it turns into something like that, which is huge. And I just think that's amazing.
And raises livestock,
Look at my cows,
turkeys and chickens for meat and eggs, and pigs for both meat and breeding. Braden works 12 hours a day, 7 days a week in the summer. He's outgrown the original farm stand he and his grandpa made 2 years ago and made enough money to buy a new one. He also has invested in tools for the farm and learned how to fix things if and when they break.
There ought to be more 12-year-olds like him.
What are some of your friends doing in the summer?
playing video games.
He says he thinks he's learning a lot more out in the fields than he would be sitting in front of a TV.
I think it's better because you get more of an experience and it's life preparation, I guess.
It teaches him business. It teaches him how to work. It teaches him to stay out of trouble. It teaches him where food comes from. And without farmers, there's no food.
With the help of his grandparents, he has learned how to farm and raise animals. He also has homemade zucchini bread and zucchini relish made by members of his family and the Auburn community with vegetables straight from his garden. In Auburn, Jackie Mundry, News Center, Maine.
All right, we promised pet stories, we will deliver.
Yeah, up next, we introduce you to one furry member working at a Maine hardware store. News Center Maine's Christmas Special. We'll be right back. lot of us have a local hardware store we'll turn to for some help with projects around the house. One store has been owned by the same family since it opened more than 50 years ago.
However, there is a new employee attracting attention. New CENTER Maine's Chloe Thibault introduces us to Daniel.
How you doing? Good, how are you?
It's a regular weekday at Shoppers True Value Hardware in South Portland. What's not so regular? This furry employee working at the counter.
None of my animals are this compliant. Like if I had tried to put a bow tie on my cat at home, he would be on the ceiling. So this cat is just Daniel's just a unique breed.
Daniel was hired in February. He's the shop cat with an unforgettable personality.
I mean, he's a little sassy to me, I'm not gonna lie. He's a little judgmental.
The thing is, his admirers don't seem to mind.
If I need her to run some errands with me, I just say, would you like to go see Daniel Cat? And she runs for the door.
And when I met him, I asked if he wanted to go home with me, and he smushed his face into mine, and so I knew he was a keeper.
Jessica Simpson picked Daniel out at the Midcoast Humane Society in Edgecombe. She says having him around her family's store has already made a big difference.
It's brought a sparkle back to my dad, which is really the best part of it after losing my brother 3 years ago.
He stays here all night, and I'm the first one here in the morning, so he comes out back, have coffee with me.
A quiet moment before the doors open.
Oh, Daniel has a big following. There's a lot of people that come in just to see him, and a lot of people ask where he is when they come in.
That following extends to the internet.
He's almost at 2 million likes. He's getting up there.
Lauren created a TikTok account for Daniel, and he already has more than 30,000 followers.
It just sort of makes me smile to see all of these people enjoy something so simple as him.
A simple but special cat, spreading joy at home from a hardware store. In South Portland, Chloe Thibault, New CENTER Maine.
Daniel gets a lot of love on TikTok. You can follow him at shoppers_hardware. Speaking of TikTok, not often accounts from Maine get national recognition.
But that is exactly the case here. Meet Biscuit.
I have rapped in a program I did, a Weird Weekends episode about rap.
Can you remember any of the rap that you did?
My money don't jiggle jiggle, it folds. I'd like to see you wiggle wiggle, for sure. It makes me want to dribble dribble. You know, riding in my Fiat, you really have to see it.
It's just the best. Love it. Biscuit and her owner, Dimitri Pepper from Whitefield, gained a huge following on the social media site this year. They have more than 16 million followers. Pepper started the account during the pandemic to try to share his adventures with Biscuit, and as you can imagine, quickly went viral.
What a cutie. Their videos feature Biscuit dancing, flying, singing, even talking. Pepper is a photographer and music composer and says editing and shooting the videos comes naturally to him, but he wasn't expecting what he created to touch so many people.
During the pandemic, I get messages every day, people saying they were going through hard times, and when they watch my when they watch my videos, it gives them hope. And I've been through parts in life of that where I've watched videos where I've been upset about something or going through a hard time, and TikTok's helped me. And so it's nice to see other people it's nice to see my videos are helping people.
Yeah, that is great. But by the way, Pepper says Biscuit is a rescue dog. He adopted her, says they became instant best friends.
No doubt. Clearly a good personality there. Yeah. You can find Pepper and Biscuit's videos under the username Mr. Mainer. It's all one word.
If you went to Scarborough Beach State Park this summer, you may have noticed a new lifeguard on duty. But she's not your average summer employee. Beacon is a Newfoundland.
She started training for the job when she was just 12 weeks old. The state park manager there says he got the idea from Europe, where dogs are often used in water rescues. The plan is for Beacon to come in as a second defense when someone's in distress in the water. She would then help pull them out on a flotation device.
The idea is, from my standpoint, is that she's going to be the second responder with a lifeguard, not a first responder. So she'd pull 3 people in easy, 4 people in easy, all the way to the beach. She's done a tremendous job.
Beacon, by the way, got her training through the American Academy of Canine Water Rescue, which is out of Massachusetts. And not only is she a huge help for the lifeguards, she's also a big hit among people at the beach. We'd love to see that there. Well, sometimes we like to loosen up a little bit here at News Center Maine.
Fun driving this?
Oh my gosh, yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. It's the most fun you can have at 5 miles an hour.
Coming up, Don Kerrigan heads out to the woods to teach us about the history of the Lombard log hauler and its connection to Maine. A lot of well-known Maine people have made their mark on business and industry over the past 200 years, but there is a name you may not know, Alvin Lombard. His invention, however, is used every day around the world.
And his memory now is being kept alive by some dedicated guys in the woods of Bradley. Back in March, Don Kerrigan and photojournalist Kurt Craddy decided they had to join the fun.
Yeah, I'll try and get as close as I can. About 6 inches. Go. More. Right there. All right.
With new snow overnight, it's a perfect morning to try out the sled.
Terry is always trying something new.
New to these guys, at least, it's the first time the Maine Forest and Logging Museum has hooked up 2 of these old-fashioned logging sleds. A nod to Maine history, pulled by an important piece of that history, the Lombard log hauler.
These machines could tow 300 tons of logs, and they would be stacked many logs high and chained on.
Herb Crosby is president of the museum, which keeps the legendary Maine-made machines going. They were invented just over 120 years ago by Alvin Lombard of Waterville. Crosby, who was a professor of engineering, calls Lombard a mechanical genius.
He certainly was. Although he didn't go to school beyond a one-room schoolhouse, which was very typical.
This would be pretty similar to what he first came up with.
Very similar.
Terry Harper is also an engineer and says Lombard's vision was inventing the track system to drive the log hauler through the snow. He says Lombard came from a whole family of inventors.
Very smart guys, very smart. The number of patents they held is just amazing. Between Alvin, Nathaniel, and Samuel, they held dozens of patents.
In 1900, he mounted the tracks to a steam locomotive, put skis on the front, and changed the woods industry forever.
Other people had tried ideas like this, but never could make them work. I think what made Alvin Lombard special was that perseverance. He just kept at it. When things broke, he found a better way to make them work. In 1900, he patented his first machine. It was steam-powered. They called it Mary Ann.
They say Lombard's company built 82 of the steam log haulers. Only 3 remain that still run, and 2 of them are here at the museum. They fire them up in the summer. In 1914, Lombard began building a gasoline-powered version. Hundreds of them were made, including this one, with wheels on front to use as a snowplow in Waterville, built in 1934.
Most important, is it fun driving this?
Oh my gosh, yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. It's the most fun you can have at 5 miles an hour ever.
So I had to find out. So throw the clutch in first. And off we went in a machine almost 90 years old.
Does feel like you could go over anything with this.
You could. I'm a mechanical engineer, and just like seeing this beautiful machinery running and so effective, very elegant. I think the fact that some of our machines are over 100 years old and they're still running beautifully today.
The log hauler is a fascinating piece of Maine history, but Alvin Lombard's invention went far beyond his home state. Over time, his track system was adopted by others.
That was fairly common. When something works, people would all copy it.
And some of those companies made it big. The track is now common on everything from bulldozers to army tanks around the world. All started by that inventor in Waterville. And Terry Harper says the world ought to know what Alvin Lombard did.
It's made in Maine. It was conceived in Maine, and it was used in Maine, and it's an amazing thing.
On a late winter day, that genius is still very much alive.
And just like Don Kerrigan and the log hauler, our Olympic zone got out of the office to try something fun and new this year.
Yeah, Chris Costa, Sam Rogers, and Jackie Mundry hit the ice to learn about curling, and they had some help from the Pine Tree Curling Club. Take a look.
Step in the hack first, and then
step on the slide.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh wow, this is slippery. Okay.
What did you say?
I said, oh wow, this is slippery.
I like crouch down first, or?
No.
Oh,
You were
boy.
standing up. Now you crouch down.
Oh, I'm gonna eat it.
Are you nervous?
I've been able to play hockey since I was 3 years old. I've never been more uncomfortable on the ice before. Mike, how's he doing?
He's learning.
That's a nice way of saying he's awful. He's not throwing it hard enough, is he?
He's not throwing it hard enough.
Let me try. Confidence is everything, Koga.
Hey, look at that.
You've seen two of us go. Yeah, I know, right? I have an unfair advantage right now. Good wipeout. That's a big tree fall hard moment. I promise we're good at our day jobs.
I'm getting better. And I only fell twice.
The new CENTER Maine Christmas Special with a few more laughs from behind the scenes next.
As we wrap up our Christmas special, we want to send you out with a laugh, or maybe 2 or 3, and that means bloopers.
Here's a look behind the scenes at some of our holiday promotion shoots when some of us struggled to get it together.
Expect from our team on demand.
Why is this so Oh, now what do I say?
This is awesome, in person and in store. Yeah, why?
You're
I
so
have one line.
You're so
It's because I meant.
I gotta stop talking there. But I didn't know what else to do. It's so weird.
Get away. Don't you have an update to do?
Nope.
Let's go.
It's time.
You can donate a new or used coat or a Yes!
Hey.
This is awesome. Why?
This is not awesome.
Wait, can we get a stand-in? No, I'm just kidding. Oh, hi there. The important stories you expect from our team. And of course, the Salvation Army will do something.
Decided to cut Keith from promos from now on. That does it for our new CENTER Maine Christmas Special. Thanks for watching.
We wish you a very happy holiday. You can catch the news of the day tonight at 11.